Hello, I'm David. Welcome back to Alders Classics. Today we're talking about Lotus Elan M100s. We're taking a look at a few cars before and after they've been restored. As you can see, this is a very early stage Elan project. It's had a few problems with the lacquer. The lacquer was peeling, probably where it's been in the hot sun. Often with red cars, the paint fades very badly, and this was actually a very pink orange, not a very nice colour. We think it's worth doing this car as a restoration. They're not worth a huge amount of money, but this one's not had too many owners, it's not done too many miles. The beauty of owning one of these is you're obviously never going to have any rust problems in terms of the bodywork, but you do have problems with star cracks, like where we have this patch of filler. Lower down we've actually used a carbon fibre paste. Star crack basically is where usually a stone hits the panel and it fractures in a star pattern, and you have to scurf all those little lines out with a grinder, then fill them. As I say, we've used a carbon paste filler, and then we're just using ordinary body filler on top just to reinstate the original shape. Personally, I'm a really big fan of these cars. I think they're fabulous little cars. They're great fun to drive, and they handle superbly in all kinds of weather. They're economical. You can get most of the spares for these cars fairly easily. I'm talking really about the servicing parts, air filters, oil filters, brake parts, things like that. But the more obscure parts can be tricky. Things like ECUs, all the senders on the cars, they're all pretty much long gone these days, so that can be more of a problem. Another big problem area on these cars is the roof. Unfortunately, the perspex, sometimes it comes unstitched, as in this case. You can see this roof is actually more bin liner than anything else, but also sometimes these actually shatter and just fall in, disintegrate. Apart from that, when the hood's folded, the metal part of the roof, the folding part of the roof, actually cuts through, slices through the canvas, and you end up with a nice big hole like this. Apart from those problems, you also have issues, very bad issues, with a kind of a soft foam rubber that Lotus used, and this is not a very good construction. They all tend to disintegrate like this, and of course then you've got all the wind noise and the water coming in as well. And here are two Elans that we did earlier. On my left here we've got this lovely Pacific blue coloured one. This was actually painted with a solvent base coat and then clear coat on top, a clear coat 2-pack lacquer, which is nice and hard. I'm afraid it's a bit dusty and grubby. Been rather blowy today, and it was cleaned a day or so ago, but anyway, still see what a lovely colour it is. And this one to my right here, this is Calypso red, nice Lotus colour. They also use these two colours on the S4 Esprit, but this is not base coat and clear, this is actually 2-pack paint, so there's a subtle difference. On this one the paint colour is also the lacquer finish as well, so it's a slightly easier process. The wheels are a bit of a mixed blessing. They were made by OZ in Italy, I believe, and they used to make a lot of the Formula 1 wheels, and for all I know they may well still make them. But there is a problem with these Elans, that the wheels were very marginal on strength, and quite a few wheels I've seen have been quite badly buckled, and therefore they can't be balanced very effectively. Another issue is with the brakes. When they were new, they were adequate. They were never the most fantastic brakes. I think these are the ones that were fitted to the Astra GTE at the time. Most of the parts on the car are actually Vauxhall sourced, or Vauxhall Group, which include the ISUZU engine, because that was part of Vauxhall, or General Motors I should say. We've rebuilt all the calipers on this car, and we've used green stuff pads, which are actually pretty good. They're made by EBC, but the braking in this car is quite adequate. There are companies doing updated calipers, which is actually quite a good idea for these. We spoke about Elan roofs earlier. This car was really a bit of an abandoned project. Unfortunately, it's done 161,000 miles, and the last owner kind of lost interest in it a bit. But we thought it was worth saving. When I looked through the history, well over £20,000 was spent on this car at Bell and Colville, probably the premier Lotus dealer in the UK. And it's really had an awful lot of work done to it in the past, including a full engine rebuild. So we thought we'd try and save it. I managed to get a second-hand roof. It was actually a very good roof, apart from somebody vandalised it and put this big slash down the side of it. But we're going to repair that. It's going to re-stitch it. But I'm going to show you in a few minutes our next plan, which is to make a dedicated hardtop, which is quite an ambitious project in itself. Another problem area, as you can see, are the roof rubbers and door rubbers. They're made out of a kind of a compressed foam, and they're quite fragile. The ones on this car are actually much better than average, but even so they are beginning to disintegrate. So yeah, so it's a bit noisy right now. I said that I'd mentioned to you that we're trying to do something about the Lotus Elan roof issue. The roofs do leak like no tomorrow, and the rubbers are no longer replaceable. Using an MGF hardtop, which has had some adaptations made. It's been an ongoing project. We've kind of gone back to it from time to time, but we are going to see it through, and we do intend to actually make some dedicated M100 roofs. So that's something to look out for in the future. I'll just show you on here what the star crack looks like. Basically where the stones hit this panel, you can see it's all shattered out diagonally, and all these lines have to be taken out usually with a die grinder, and then carefully filled. We use carbon fibre paste, and then a normal filler on top afterwards. In fact, looking around this roof, there's quite a few problems. There's osmosis, fiberglass is cracking, it's bubbled, and there's quite a few star cracks here and there, so this is going to need a fair bit of work. We spoke briefly earlier about rust issues on ELANS. Obviously there aren't any on the body. The chassis itself, you can see how high the transmission tunnel is. It's actually a very, very deep box section steel chassis there, which is well galvanised, but the galvanising can have issues. Bearing in mind these cars are now sort of 35 years old, sometimes that gets eaten away, and you do have some rust issues, generally not too serious, but they are there. In addition to that, there are outriggers going from the chassis to things like the sills and other components which are invisible because they're actually bedded into the fiberglass, and they can be rusty and cause other handling and structural problems, but they can only really be looked at once all the carpets etc. are taken up, and once you're up on the ramp, and then you can assess how bad those are. This blue car is actually what's known as an SE model. It's a slightly better trim spec. It's got full leather seats rather than part leather, and also the door cards have their own leather stitched pouches on them, and just a better interior. I've managed to get replacement gaiters for the gear change and also the handbrake, which you can see Haven't got round to fitting those yet, but they're going to be a nice improvement. The interiors are very plasticky, unfortunately. I believe that the plastic dashboard is the largest single injection moulded component ever made up until the early 90s by any manufacturer, so that's an unusual talking point. They're rather drab, and I've actually used a lot of ceramic coating on this one to try and put a bit of life back into it, and it's starting to get there now. And the next problem we're going to talk about briefly are the windows. It's quite rare to find an Elan where the windows both go up and down smoothly, and this is no exception. These cars are often compared quite unfavourably to the Lotus Elise, but one area in which these definitely have an edge is actually accessibility. You can get in and out of this car very, very quickly and easily. Try doing this in a Lotus Elise. One big problem we've noticed on a few cars is the fans don't kick in when they're supposed to, and that's because of a faulty sender, and the sender itself now seems to be obsolete. None of the aftermarket guys seem to stock it anymore, so for that reason we fitted this thermostat system, which is a Kenlo type installation, and with that device we can actually set the fan temperature anywhere we like, so we haven't got that horrible worry of will the fans come on or not. What tends to happen is the stuff either collapses or degrades, decomposes, or the glue, the substrate gives way, and that can actually present a bit of a fire risk. But also the excessive heat that's going on to the top side of the bonnet then from the engine can create a lot of bubbling and osmosis, which doesn't help trying to sort out your paintwork problems. So we've been using this nice heat-proof under bonnet lining material. We just cut those to shape and size, and then we hold them on with a very strong PU adhesive. The rocker cover, we thought we had some paint left over, so what do we do with the paint? We thought, well, bit of fun, we'll take the rocker cover off and repaint it all the same as the body. It just brightens up the engine bay. It's quite an attractive engine bay. We did a few other bits and pieces. We replaced the header tank because that was nothing really wrong with it, but it had gone very opaque and you couldn't check the coolant level very easily. We've also put, I don't know if you can zoom into that bit, but this is an adjustable thermostat. We actually found that the standard cooling system was a bit, well, the fan was a bit suspect. It didn't actually cut in until the engine was very hot, which is quite a common thing on this Elan. So we put our own adjustable system on it, and it comes in a lot earlier now, which on hot days like today is quite reassuring. We did a similar thing on the rocker cover here on the red one. We think it gives it a bit of life, spices it up a little bit. Yeah, generally a nice compact engine bay. Some things are a bit hard to access. We had to change a power steering pipe on this one, which ended up being quite a fiddly job. And also we did an alternator, and that's a fairly lengthy job as well, because the stuff is well packed in these engine bays. We have talked about the ISUZU engine a bit. It is a very, very good, durable, powerful unit. I love them. People often compare M100s in a negative way to the Elise, but personally I'd much rather have one of these engines than a K-series Rover. Also at the front of the car, underneath, there are two chassis extensions called the Longeron and the Prongeron. I've seen a couple of cars where these have been quite badly bent, out of shape. I think that's because the cars have had front end incidents, probably due to the fact that the brakes have been poorly maintained. It's quite a rapid car, but if the brakes aren't in top notch, very well maintained, it's quite easy to actually find yourself running into things. As we continue our tour of the Lotus Elan, a few other pros and cons we should mention. The headlamps are quite problematical on M100s, and very often they get stuck in the down position. The headlights on this particular car are about the best you'll ever see on an M100 Elan. Turning once again to the back of the car, the rear wishbones are quite a problem area. They do get very rusty, as you can see on this one, quite terrible and very badly patched up. These are quite a safety issue and they're very expensive to replace. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this brief video about the Lotus M100. It happens to be one of my favourites. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. All the best.